So yes, indeed, my name is Rikke Rosenlund. I'm one of the founders of Bore My Doggy. So while I have a background of both in financial services, I have an MBA from INSEAD. Also, equally importantly, I used to do disaster relief work, which meant that I'm trained to go out after earthquakes, tsunamis, etc., and actually help get people back under tents again. The reason why that's really important is because I've grown up to always wanted to make a difference in the world, and this hopefully also comes very much across with Bore My Doggy. So Bore My Doggy, our mission is to leave paw prints of happiness on the lives of dogs and people. So it is an online community where dog owners connect with dog borers for the borers to help take care of dogs when the owners are busy. And this could be for a walk, or for a weekend, or for a happy holiday. The pain points in the moment is from an owner's perspective. Well, most owners can't spend 24 hours a day with their dog because of family commitments or work or travel. We also have a lot of members that are going through life changes. So just having had a baby, old age, a broken leg, etc. And there are not that many low-cost options out there in the moment, which really are very, very caring for dogs. And then from the borer's perspective, well, lots of us love dogs, and we just don't have the right lifestyle right now to have one, because maybe of our living arrangements, or could be financial situations, or very often it's also just time. And 70% of people who borrow dogs on Bore My Doggy, well, they actually used to own one, so they know what it's all about. The way Bore My Doggy works is both owners and borers, they sign up and they go in and create a profile. So owners, they will sign up a profile for their dog, and they'll write a little bit about the dog's likes and dislikes, and sort of what the dog is looking for. Is it extra walks? Is it some playtime? And then from the borer's perspective, well, borers will write why they would love to spend some time with a dog. And this could be that they've also said that they have grown up with a dog, or they would take a dog for a walk on weekends, or what their availability is. And then once people have found created their profile, they go in and search for a match. And first and foremost, they search under location, and then availability, and then they go in and read each other's profiles. Once they've found someone they would love to chat with, they go in and subscribe on Bore My Doggy. And as part of the subscription, we verify all of our members. So we check addresses, we check phone numbers, and we have an optional video verification check. And then on top of that, we also have a 24/7 vet line, and we have insurances. And then from there, well, people meet and greet, just like you would do with a dog sitter or a babysitter. So I'm going to tell you now about how Bore My Doggy, actually how we tested the idea, which is really important in anything we do, that we go in and test something before we spend a lot of time on developing it. And then after that, how we went about and actually launching Bore My Doggy, and then about how we're taking it to the growth phase where we're in right now. So Bore My Doggy, it all started one day, it's about 2 years ago, and I borrowed this very cute brown Labrador called Aston. And I took her for a walk in a park, and I remember thinking, why are people spending so much money on dog walkers or kennels, or leaving their dog home alone, when I would love to take care of a dog for free, and I would take so good care of it? And I thought there should be a platform connecting people like me with dog owners, because surely most owners can't be with their dog all the time. And it would be great for dogs because they get extra love and attention. From there, I had actually heard that about 90 to 95% of tech startups, they go bust within 2 years. So the stats are not really very, very good, and you don't want to invest a lot of time and effort in something before you really tested that there is a market for it. So what I did was I signed up to the Lean Startup Machine. Does everyone know what the Lean Startup Machine is, or should I just hide? Okay. So essentially what the Lean Startup Machine is say, for instance, nobody's selling shoes online yet. What you could do is you could build a website. You could buy, a supply. You could have storage. You could, integrate, payment facilities on your new website, and you can start selling shoes online. That probably would take you a good 6 to 9 months to pull off, and it will cost you a lot of money. The alternative way you can do it is actually, you can run down to your local shoe shop. You can buy 10 pair of shoes, take pictures of them, upload them, and then from there start marketing them too. And then if people buy them, instead of you having built the whole storage and an inventory, you can just run down to your local shoe shop and actually buy a pair of shoes and ship them off. And actually that way, without doing a lot of effort, you can actually test very basic ideas. So it's all about being innovative and figuring out what your customer demand is before you start putting too much effort into an idea. So what we did was I went to the Lean Startup Machine here in London, and there were 60 members. And I pitched the Borrow My Doggy idea. And it's exactly what I just did. I told them the story about how I just borrowed a dog and that I would want some dog time. And the idea came in as number one in the group, and about 20 people wanted to work on the project that weekend. So the one guy I ended up working with is this guy called Les. So he came up to me and he said, I used to volunteer at RSPCA. I love the idea and I miss having a dog in my life too. And then he said, I'm a full stack developer, which is amazing, meaning that he does design, back-end development, front-end development, etc. So he used to be the lead developer at Sky News, etc. But very importantly, used to volunteer at RSPCA, so we have the same passions and wanting to make a difference. What we did was we created a landing page in 2 hours. And literally it said, miss having a dog in your life? Sign up here. And then we put up a few posters in the local park in Hampstead Heath. And within 3 days, we had 85 people who signed up to Borrow My Doggy. 85 people. The second dog that was signed up was down in Cornwall. So that meant word of mouth already, and the first one I think was in Birmingham. So it already went really, really quickly. And very importantly, I downloaded the whole file. At the time I was working financial services. I downloaded the whole file and we had asked people, why have you signed up? So as in, why do you need help with your dog? Or why would you love to borrow a dog? And people had written paragraphs to us about their problems, essentially. And it was everything from, a student growing up in a farm in Australia and now living in a dorm in London and really missing her dogs at home. Or it was, there was an elderly man down in Cornwall, and he wrote about how he just had an operation, so he couldn't take his dog for long walks anymore, but only short ones, and he really realized his dog needed it. So again, it was so personal and touching, and our website didn't even exist. It was literally a test page. And then there was a story that really got to me. It was a family with a little girl where she was begging for a dog, but at the same time she was scared of dogs. So they didn't want to get one, to maybe have to give it up. And for me, I grew up, my mother was allergic, so I started crying and I thought, not another little girl without a dog, we must help her. So Les and I, we met up afterwards and we decided that we should do something. So from the first phase, very importantly was that we learned from it is, regardless of what you do, like this was specifically with dogs, I gave you an example about shoes, you can test ideas really simple, whether you work in big companies, because I used to work at American Express. A lot of big companies do the same issues where they put a lot of effort into a campaign and they haven't actually tested it properly in a small scale and getting returns before they actually really invest in it. And then really speak with your customers and understand what the pain point is. Like for us, it was so clear that it was all about missing something or needing help. So it was very, very clear what problem we were solving. But it's this whole thing of, for us, we had to figure out what the problem was before we actually jumped into it, and being really innovative about how we got feedback over the pain points. So one thing was we got it on forms, but the first 3 weekends, I probably spent, 10, 12 hours a day out in parks just speaking with people saying, how do you get custom care right now for your dogs? How do you go about trusting a dog sitter? How do you interview people generally? It was really just being out speaking with people to understand the mindset of how do you trust someone else and how do you go about solving your problem in the moment. So from there, we had the 85 people, and we clearly wanted to do something to help them out. So this was a little weekend project. And so we decided to relaunch the website. We took the landing page down, and then we just put in a holding page because we didn't want any more people signing up, believing we had a solution to the problem, which, at the time, we didn't really. We had an idea to a solution. So we took the test site down, and then we actually relaunched the whole website. And again, the way we did it was FAQs, for instance. We thought about every possible question somebody could ask us about borrowing a dog. And it was everything from safety to insurances to how do we verify people. And I think we spent a good weekend, plus until 3 o'clock in the morning, one additional day, just writing down FAQs. We actually had no no clue for sure how we would verify people, but we had a pretty good idea about what we wanted to do when it actually got up and running. And also, say for instance, we had terms and conditions, we had privacy policy, again, that you can get from the web in general. And what we did was we just took some general stuff and then we modified it so it fitted our website and uploaded it. And then also we incorporated and got insurance before we even started matchmaking people. So all this stuff was like front end, but there was nothing behind the system yet. Then from there, we had to figure out how to match people, which again was very interesting. And again, all about speaking with members. So to begin with, what happened actually was, I don't know if you guys know Emerald Street, but it's a stylist online magazine. So one of my friends, I went out for a drink with her on a Friday night, and she's like, oh, can I sign up? And I said, sure. I didn't necessarily tell her that the whole back end hadn't been built yet. So she signed up, and she tweeted about us. And within a space of 24 hours, the stylist, or Emerald Street, had picked up the story, and they wrote about us. And they have about 80,000 readers. Well, 10,000 jumped onto our website, and we had a conversion rate of 10%, which we actually still do. So all of a sudden, we had 1,000 people signed up again to a website that did not really have that much behind it still. And then from there, the same day, we got contacted by BBC, Independent, Daily Mail, etc. So, but first, before we really wanted to speak with media, we had to figure out how to match people. So what we did was we downloaded the whole Excel spreadsheet, and then we actually started to sort after where people were living, so postcodes. So I found everyone living in W1 in my Excel spreadsheet, both from owners and borrowers. And I started to look at maps where they lived. And then you had to figure out if they had the right availability and if you thought they might get along. So the first matches, they were about 55 manual emails just to get one match up and running. So because it was, sending an email, then we had to take them through our verification process, which was manual. I sent them a text message from my phone to verify their phone number. I sent them a PayPal request to check their address. If it didn't work, then I would ask them for some kind of an extra paperwork. And actually very interesting, our early matches, the real moment of sale actually happened when I had a Skype call with them. Because all these different questions, even though they had seen our FAQ on our website, they actually didn't really know what was behind the site yet. So speaking with someone that they could see actually we were real people who just really cared about making a difference, that made people then trust, and they felt very comfortable with us. And then from there, I think we matched the first 50 matches or something like that manually. It was, it was a lot of work, but it was all about understanding our customers and what their concerns were before we actually invested heavily in building the website itself. And then from there, we also realized that the importance of the welcome woof, which is actually where the other, like the Skype poll, is where they start trusting you. But the welcome woof, as in the first meet and greet session, is where they actually learn how to trust each other or meet each other for the first time. So again, we realized the importance of making sure that we built a very good process around it. From a launch perspective, I told you we got some massive attention early on from Emerald Street. Again, when I got contacted by the BBC and Independent and Daily Mail early on, as much as it was tempting just to call them right back and say, hey, let's meet up and speak and give a story, what I actually did was I reached out to our network and I said, hey, does anyone know anyone who works in PR? And they did. And then I met up with somebody who was okay with meeting me for coffee, and she said, these are all the questions that you need to be able to answer before you speak with journalists. So again, it was not just everything we've done. We've literally tried to be very systematic, thinking about putting ourselves in the mind of other people and saying, if I was them, what would I ask? Or if it's an area we don't know, then who can actually tell me how, or help teach us how people might think in a specific area.